everyone, welcome to the book station. I am Sanjana and I'm back here after ages. The last time you saw me was probably in Jan when I spoke about my favorite books of 2020, the best books in my opinion. If you haven't watched that video, I hope you watch it and find some recommendations. But since then, I haven't read much in terms of monthly reading. But since in the past 4 months, I did get a little bit of reading done, almost 8 books. So I thought, why not talk about the books that I read in Jan, Feb, and March of 2021. And this is what this video is all about. I hope you find some recommendations and like this video. If you do like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and comment your opinions in the comment section. So the first book that I read in Jan of 2021, which I had already started in December of 2020, is Sita by Amish Tripathi. Amish Tripathi is a very famous mythological writer in the Indian subcontinent. He is most famous for his Shiva trilogy series, and later on he went on to write the Rama series, of which Sita is the second book. But for me, Sita by Amish Tripathi is the first book by the author. It might surprise a lot of you, but I'd never gotten to read Amish Tripathi, but now I'm glad I did read it. I gave this book 3 stars on Goodreads. This book is a retelling of the character Sita from the Indian mythology, Ramayana, and it is quite a good retelling. Here we don't see Sita confined to the kitchen or the courtyard and be the typical princess. Instead, she's a warrior. She's the chosen Vishnu. No, I did not spoil much, but I'll not speak much further about any of the plot. But what I loved about this book the most is the character of Sita and the characters around her. Most of the characters are well rounded. It's not as if the book is entirely about Sita. We see several other characters grow and evolve in the book. And the language also is very simple, and that is why probably Amish Tripathi became a very famous author, because his language and his style is quite simple, especially for readers who aren't avid readers and don't read very often. Yet mythology has been made very accessible in a very modern perspective. But why I gave this only 3 stars is, like I said, at many stages the plot felt very flat and many things felt repetitive. And I did not like that fact, because it even made me very sleepy at times. I wish the book hadn't done that. So that is why I gave it only 3 stars. The next book that I read after Sita is Becoming by Michelle Obama. And this was a gift, I'm so glad for it, because I've loved reading this book. Though it's a very big book and can take up a lot of time to read, it's worth the read, especially if you love reading political memoirs, because a part of this deals with a lot of politics. So this book starts off with Michelle Obama, who's only 5 years old and is trying to learn to play the piano, and through that we realize how determined this very young girl is. And then we go on to see how she's born into a very struggling family, with her parents being her pillars of support and her brother being her best buddy. Though she faces a lot of criticism and trouble growing up because of the color of her skin, she makes her way in life because she is strong-willed and hardworking. She ends up becoming a lawyer and gets a job at one of the best law firms in the US. And apart from that, as history has told, she became the Floaters twice. And we see her journey from being a 5-year-old girl learning to play the piano to becoming the Floaters. But what is most inspiring about this book is, no matter what she goes through, we see that she is always strong-willed and she's very determined and hardworking to make her mark in life. But at times we also see that she goes through a lot of identity crisis, and that is what this book and Michelle, the character of Michelle, becomes very relatable, because a lot of us also go through this of identity crisis even after we have so-called settled in lives, which can be very unsettling. But through this book we see that she sticks to her agendas, she sticks to her beliefs and tries her best to make the best of her life. And though there has been a lot of criticism about this book, that a lot of it is about the politics and Barack Obama's run for being the president, I think that through all of that, we see Michelle Obama shine and become what she is today. And that is the most inspiring part, because a lot of us can get caught up with several other big things in life. When you look at the bigger picture, it is how you grow that matters, and that's what Michelle Obama teaches us. Then the next book that I read after Michelle Obama's Becoming is Agatha Christie's The Body in the Library, which I'm not very happy about. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that Agatha Christie is my all-time favorite author. But The Body in the Library has not been one of her best books. I've read her other books and I loved them better than this, because many a times Body in the Library did not even feel like the writing of Agatha Christie. The story is like the title says. One sudden morning in an English household, they find a body, and no one knows of a young girl, and no one knows who this young girl is, who is dressed in a very shimmery dress, and she looks like she'd gone to a party, but she ends up in someone's library, and the quest is all about finding whose body this is. But honestly, at many times it felt this, though this novella is, I would call it a novella because it's very small, it felt very slow and dry, and like I said, did not even sound like Christie writing. So if you plan to read Agatha Christie, then for the first time, then I wouldn't suggest this book. Instead, you could pick Murder on the Orient Express or By the Pricking of My Thumbs or any other book. Next, I went on to read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm not really sure about the author's name, but this is a very famous book. It's a non-fiction book, and I listened to the audiobook, but I'm planning to read it again because this is a very helpful book. If you're planning to make several changes in life or building new habits, this is one book that I guarantee will help you only if you follow the steps. So it's not an audiobook that you can just listen to and forget, or it's like fiction, but it's an audiobook or book that you have to follow, because it has several actionable steps which have also helped me when I followed them, like habit stacking and several others which I don't remember at the moment. But this book I have seen on YouTube as well has helped many other people. So my personal opinion is, if I had to suggest one non-fiction book anyone has to read to improve their life, Atomic Habits would be the one. Next book that I read is The Best of Me by Nicholas Sparks, which is probably not the best of Nicholas Sparks, because I have read another book by Nicholas Sparks, which is A Walk to Remember, which I loved much more than The Best of Me, because this book is more realistic and it's not very dry as well. Now, coming back to The Best of Me, The Best of Me is about two people, Amanda and Dawson, who are childhood college sweethearts, but they drift apart, but meet again after 15 years, and it's their interaction and journey till then and after that. But what I did not like about this book, and why I gave it only 2 stars out of 5 on Goodreads, is because the author has tried to bring in the idea of fate playing its cards, but it makes no sense. And sometimes the plot seems so dry and unrealistic that you get bored even before you finish half of the book, because in between you see a lot of events happening that are meant to happen but don't end up happening, and it's not at all fun to read. So if you plan to read Nicholas Sparks, or if you love reading Nicholas Sparks, save yourself this disappointment and instead read A Walk to Remember. That would be my suggestion. The next book that I read after The Best of Me is Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. If you're a student of literature, you will know that Heart of Darkness is one of the most important texts in post-colonial literature, because this is about the journey into the colonial part of Africa, which was then occupied by the British. So in this book, we see our protagonist, Marlowe, journey into the center of Africa to bring back another British officer called Kurtz. And what is most interesting is the truth that is revealed about colonization in this book. But if you pick up this book, you will be very happy that it's very small. It's less than 120 pages, but it can become a very tough read because in this book we have perspectives of four different people, and that confused me the most about this book. So let me try to explain. This book is written by Joseph Conrad, so you see a lot of his perspective in the book. Then we go on right in the beginning to learn about the perspective of an unknown speaker who is in the same boat as Marlowe, who is the protagonist. So this unknown speaker introduces us to Marlowe, and then Marlowe starts speaking about his journey of the past into the heart of darkness, that is into Africa, where he had to bring back Kurds. And through this journey, we come face to face with the harsh reality of what colonization actually did. In the name of civilizing people, it only abused the resources of the country, whether it's natural or human beings. And then when we journey into the heart of darkness and when we finally meet Kurds, we are delving into his mind and his opinions as well. And all these four perspectives can get slightly confusing because of the author's writing style. But if you get past probably the first 20-30 pages, then you will definitely fall in love with this book, because this book is not just a journey into a country and exploring the aspects of the country like nature and the people, but it's a journey into the psyche and the negative aspects of human mind and what it can do to the people around oneself and to the human being too. So I think this is a great read if you love reading books that explore the psyche of human beings, and I probably will revisit it after a few months as well. So those were the books that I read in January, February and March of 2021, and I enjoyed them, and I have few more plans for the upcoming months. I shall share all about it in the next video. Until then, see you, stay safe, and bye-bye.